All right, so I'm a little bit of a sad boy right now. Nicholas Castellanos has signed a 4-year deal with the Reds, $16 million per year, and he couldn't even leave the division. He had to sign with the Reds. Oh man, this one hurts a little bit. It stings a little bit. He was so good with the Cubs, and he's gonna just absolutely destroy them. So we're gonna talk about the Castellanos deal with the Reds. There's also some rumors that the Reds are looking to trade Nick Senzel now, which I think if they're gonna do that, they're either looking for some bullpen or shortstop help. So we'll talk about that rumor, and then we're also gonna talk about the Rockies again, because I feel like the Rockies are in a very, very bad spot right now. I looked at the Arenado and the Trevor Story contracts once again. I want to talk about that because I think this is kind of a dangerous situation for the Rockies. So again, guys, if you enjoy these types of videos and you want to see some more of them, make sure you hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and enjoyed the content. And as always, in the comment section, let me know your thoughts about the deal. It's been a couple days since my last upload. What I'll do is I'll put a link to it up here in the top corner. Go and give it a watch if you want to. And yeah, last thing, social media links are all in the description: Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. Go give them a follow if you haven't yet. So we'll start with the big one: Nicholas Castellanos to the Reds, 4-year deal. All right, so when you look at Nicholas Castellanos, you know he is a very good bat. Playing in Detroit, I feel like he was getting overlooked a lot because he wasn't putting up crazy home run numbers. But once he came to the Cubs, it really showed that he was able to put together a very good season. And those doubles that he was hitting in Detroit were turning into home runs. So now when you bring him into Great American Ballpark, I think it's only going to get better for him. He hits all over the field. He's really good against lefties. And when you look at his stats for 2019, they're just really good. You know, his OPS is in the the mid 800s. Slugging percentage is really high. On base percentage is good. He can walk. He hits across all the field, like I've mentioned. He just puts up very, very good numbers. Like it's just crazy. I expect him to hit 30+ home runs this season because he hit 27 last year, and that was split between Detroit and the Wrigley Field. So when you just give him a full year in a normal stadium that doesn't have really deep walls, I'm expecting 30+ home runs from this guy. So we know offensively he is a phenomenal player. Defensively, there's definitely some questions about him. He may be a below average fielder out in right field, but he's still young. He's heading into 27, 28 years old. So he definitely has some ability or some time to adjust to playing to the outfield, get better in the corner spot, because he's a great athlete. He's shown that he's adjusted pretty quickly. He's getting better defensively, but he still kind of has some areas where he could improve: route running, judging balls off the wall, stuff like that. So he is in his prime. 4 years gets him to what, 31 years old. That's like peak prime for a player, and I feel like this is just a great move for the Reds, who have already been very active in free agency, and they've improved their team so much this offseason. And when you look at what the NL Central has done, they've been a team that's on the rise, and it's like every other team is on the decline. So they're just really solidifying themselves for the next couple years. I mean, you look at their moves: Akiyama, Wade Miley, Mike Moustakas. Really the only question mark you have with this team is the shortstop and the bullpen. So bringing in Nicholas Castellanos to be your everyday right fielder, you have Akiyama in center, and in left field you have Jesse Winker, who's actually been kind of like under the radar, pretty decent. So those three in the outfield. You have Aquino, who started off really hot last season when he was brought up, but then kind of cooled off. So if you can get him to stay consistent, that's a great bench bat to have. Another platoon outfielder. Do you keep Nick Senzel to be another platoon outfielder for you, or do you try to trade him while he has some really good value? And then what's going on with Philip Irving? Are you going to keep him? Or are you going to just let him go? I'm not too sure what's going on with him. So overall, I'm really happy with the way the Reds have turned their team around. It's good to see them get back to a competitive team in the Central, but obviously as a Cubs fan it sucks because the Cubs didn't get better. But it's good to have a good division. It's competitive, and it forces teams to make moves and improve. So looking at the Reds, I really like the move. This is a great right fielder to pick up in his prime, one of the top free agents this offseason, and they got him for $16 million a year, which I think is a very, very good deal. So now when you look at the rest of the team for the Reds, their starting pitching, it may not be amazing for the back half of the rotation, your 4 or your 5, but it's still a very strong rotation. Sonny Gray, you got Luis Castillo, Trevor Bauer, Wade Miley, and then I'm forgetting Desclafani for your starting rotation. That's very solid. You look at the bullpen, that's the big question mark. Are they going to sign somebody? Are they going to try to improve that at all? Because I feel like offensively, the team is really good. You got Votto at first, Moose at second. Freddie Galvis at short's a bit of a question mark. Maybe Nick Senzel could move there. You have Eugenio Suarez, who just hits bombs at third. We've already talked about the outfield. So the team offensively looks great. Starting rotation looks really good. It's the bullpen I think could really let them down. That's like the one area I have the biggest question about with the Reds. So there was a rumor from John Heyman. Sometimes he does hit the sauce a little bit, so we don't know if it's like completely true, but it sounds like Senzel is kind of being thrown out there for trade rumors. So could he be a piece with some of their farm system pitchers that they have? They have some pretty good pitchers. They have Lodolo and also Green. Could they be pieces to make way to get a better shortstop with Senzel being packaged with them? They also have someone like I've mentioned in Phillip Ervin, maybe Aquino, any other of these players that they have. Could they be packaged for a shortstop? I've mentioned Carlos Correa in the past. I've mentioned Francisco Lindor in the past. Could they go out and get someone that's, you know, a little bit more attainable in that range? So again, I think the Reds are in a really good spot. If they do get a better shortstop than Freddie Galvis, I think it's even scarier what the Reds are going to be able to do in the Central. But for right now, I still think they're a favorite in the Central, and adding a great bat like Nicholas Castellanos is just like icing, like the cherry on top of the cake. Like they were already good to start the year. I think they literally just topped it all off, just made it a fantastic offseason for them. So it's going to be cool to see them competing in the Central. But again, as a Cubs fan, it sucks. Like it's tough. So great move from the Reds. It may seem like you have a stacked outfield right now, but I think it's just good to have some depth. And again, it's just a really good move for the Reds. It's just gross numbers that he can put up. And I feel like if he can just improve defensively, you've got a really good outfielder for the next 4 years. So there we are with the Reds. We've talked about the Senzel rumor as well. And now I want to talk about this trouble that the Rockies may find themselves in, because Nolan Arenado has an opt-out, I think, in 2 years. I kept looking at his contract, and it says after the 2021 season. So I'm figuring that's like 2021 going into 2022. So I'm assuming that's when he can opt out to become a free agent. And then they've also done a 2-year arbitration deal with Trevor Story, which means he aligns with the same kind of contract opt-out situation where he becomes a free agent at the same time that Nolan Arenado could opt out. So with all the crazy stuff that's been happening with Nolan Arenado, where he feels disrespected and he may leave the organization or wants to be traded, is Trevor Story kind of trying to line it up the same time frame where he wants to leave the Rockies as well, if they're not, you know, starting to improve the team and start winning? It could be a tough situation for the Rockies, and I don't really know if they can salvage this situation in the next 2 years, because you look at some of the contracts they have on the books. You have Arenado, Trevor Story's making in the teens for the next couple of years, like 15, 16 a year. Arenado, like I've mentioned, Charlie Blackmon makes quite a bit. I think McGee in the bullpen makes like 8-9 million, which I think is way too much for what he's getting. I know there's another bullpen arm that's making around the same amount for being a below average reliever. You've got David Dahl, who you've got to be expecting to pay a little bit soon. You have Ian Desmond, who's making a gross amount of money, just way too much for what Ian Desmond produces. And so you're looking at a lot of these big contracts. Are they going to be able to turn this team around, get younger? You have Daniel Murphy at first. You know, Charlie Blackmon's not getting much younger. I still think he's a great player, but he's definitely not going to improve. He may put up the same numbers, but I don't know if he's going to be able to stay consistent with 30-plus home runs a season and still be an everyday outfielder. You know, he's not the best fielder, so can you consistently rely on him to play every single day? Center field's been a huge question mark. Second base, question mark. You know, catcher Tony Walters really doesn't hit the ball. You know, your pitching has been all over the place. There's a lot of question marks with this Rockies team. And are you going to be able to hold on to your two superstars going into the next couple seasons? And do you have enough money to improve that team to keep those superstars, to convince them to stick around after those 2 years when their contracts, or they have those opt-outs, or their contract runs out? So if I was a Rockies fan, I'd be starting to freak out a little bit. Like, are we really gonna let Nolan Arenado and Trevor Story, like our two superstars who are turning out to be the best, some of the best in their position, are we just gonna let them walk? You know, if they do want out, are we going to be able to trade them to get something in return? I just feel like the Rockies are in a very, very dangerous situation. They're kind of in trouble. And I feel like if they don't turn this thing around in the next 2 years, they could see their two best players walk for nothing. So it'll be interesting to see how the Rockies do this year. Can they bounce back? Can they get back on the right track? Because last year was a huge disappointment. And I think the big thing is, can they figure out pitching? Because if they start to do that, they should be able to start moving in the right direction. So we'll have to see what happens. So again, I think the Rockies are in a really just a tough spot. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But for the most part, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Nicholas Castellanos being the big deal, and obviously Nick Senzel possibly being thrown out there for trade rumors. And that kind of makes sense. He's kind of the odd one out now. They don't really have a spot at second for him. With Moustakas there, they don't have a spot for him at third base, with Suarez sticking around for the next few years. And then you got the outfielders. The outfield seems set now with Akiyama coming in, Castellanos coming in, and you got Winker in left. So Senzel, unless he can, you know, figure out how to play shortstop at a, you know, good level, I don't know if he's a piece that the Reds would want to keep around, especially since they do have depth in other positions. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with him. But again, Castellanos to the Reds, great deal. And let me know, do you think the Rockies are in a little bit of trouble? So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and enjoyed the content. Again, guys, if you like baseball content, this is the place to be. And then in the comment section, let me know your thoughts on all the stuff that we talked about today. So social media links all in the description. And that's about it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, I'm going to leave 2 more on screen, my most recent and also one that YouTube recommends. Go and check them out if you haven't already. And that's it, guys. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.